Hello everyone and welcome back to that one playthrough of MMORPG Tycoon 2. I am Kyle once again, and it's good to be back here in the Passive Karak, my friends. We're going to do a whole bunch of fun things today, I think. I want to do a lot of expansion, and not just in the decorating side of things. I want to use some of this cash money we've got rolling around to kind of start really planning out some directions here, get a better idea of where levels are going to go within each one of these regions that we haven't expanded to yet, as well as all these sexy regions all up and around there. Additionally, like we talk about so often in the past, I want to look deeper into player leveling. We need to make sure that we're doing more helpful things to keep our players progressing in the right direction. So I'm going to go right into leveling an XP within the design doc. And one thing that was commented on that I totally agree with, and I wanted to make sure it got taken care of bright and early here, was exactly what the rewards are for killing monsters. Because I feel like we boosted the experience from a lot of the quests to help kind of push that along. But I think it's probably good too that we just make it so that the experience bump per level on monsters actually increases too. That way it's more rewarding for those who do like to grind a little bit, and as we can clearly see, it takes a while to level overall, and I want to speed the process up. So right now, base experience is 10. I think that's fine. Every level, monsters will apply another 15 experience, so it means a level 1 monster is going to issue 25 experience right now, which is really not that much. So what I'd like to see is, I think, a level 1 monster produce about 50 XP, which is actually going to double the level 1 experience from monsters. Now, if we do the math, if it takes 5,000 experience here to hit level 2, so when they're level 1, monster XP is 25, you need 200 kills to do it. So if we take this up and add 40 to it, and then we go down here and we change the number of kills from 200, because that's kind of high right now. I want the experience overall to stay the same, but I just want it to be worth more per monster kill. So I need to reduce this now for the extra kills required in order to level. So if I take that down to half, 100 monsters now, we're still going to require 5,000 XP to level up, but more experience is given per monster, which means it takes less of them. Now, the other thing we need to kind of factor in, and we should do a little comparison here. So this is 5,018, 39, 68 as a reference. Now, if we compare that to where it was, it means that actually it took less experience overall to level up, but it does take fewer monsters now to reach that same point. So there's a little bit of a trade-off. We can make it so it takes less monsters, but it takes more overall quest experience to level up. So I want to still try and even those out to as close as where they were. That's going to be tough, because there's a lot of little extra math involved here that I just don't really feel like going that deep into. So what we're going to say is extra kills per level. We're going to keep it a little on the lower end here. So 50 experience for those level 1 monsters. Level 2 monsters will give 90. So you can see where it continuously scales at a level rate or at an even amount every time they level up. The monsters get tougher. The number of monsters remains the same. So this is how we scale the experience. This is taking the totals down slightly. So 4,000, 14,000, 31, 54. I'm going to keep it here. That'll make it just easier all around. It'll take fewer monsters, but it'll also take fewer experience or less experience overall. So we'll kind of see how that ties in here. Okay, and then as I said, I would like to start kind of looking at what is available here. We've got all the cash money in the world, as well as an upgrade available up here. So let's do the upgrade first. This is just going to be a basic one. I think I'm going to add more to Gibbs, maybe get people a little more interested in combat now that it is worth a little bit more with the experience we just added to every single one of the monsters. And then looking at the $283,000 we have, I would like to start kind of mapping out all the regions that we're going to utilize in the foreseeable future. Okay, so real quick, we're just going to glance at the daily financial report, because I want to check. I know there's an upkeep to regions. So region upkeep, 9 regions, $90. So does that mean it's only $10 per region? That is what it looks like. Okay, so region upkeep is not an issue. Network uplinks, those have a resource cost, obviously. That's fine, because I'm not going to put network connections in all these locations. I just want to unlock a bunch of different spots. Okay, so looking at our grid, we are going to start going a little crazy here. So let's just literally activate a bunch of regions. And I'm going to quickly pause this because I don't want players to start running off toward all these level 1 regions that I'm just randomly spawning into existence. These are kind of feel like two separate continents. Maybe they are one supercontinent technically with the land bridge in the middle. But I want to kind of figure out this first continental section here before we worry about the reverse Italy going on here. I am now realizing I've got all these quests to activate all these regions, but we'll get to that later. What I want to do is start labeling things so that I can give you guys a better idea of what the world is going to look like in the sense of directions that we're going to go through certain quest lines. That way, as we discuss things further, if I do more votes in the future as far as where we'll go next, you guys can have a better idea of what kind of the end goals for those directions are going to be. So the first thing we're going to do here is, obviously we've got Karak as a level 5 region. I kind of want players to move all the way straight through this relatively quick, which means I might start doing some heavier experience dumps through here to make sure that when they exit, they are level 6. I do want this region to be at least level 6. Maybe it's a 6-7, I'm not 100% sure. What I do want is I want this region down here to actually be everything. I want this to be a 1 through 20 because, well, spoiler alert, this right here is going to be Valkyrie, our capital city. This is the region I'm going to utilize for that. So we'll have to make some changes because it's not going to have a giant lake here. Nonetheless, though, that is where it's going to be located. What I'm going to do for the time being is I'm going to make it an 8 through 20, just so players aren't randomly trying to figure out a way to get there thinking, oh, that's another level 1, level 2 region. I can go there to get more experience too. Right now, I want it to just be kind of a dead space. Now, down here to the south, I actually do want there to be a little bit of a side quest, side thread that kind of feeds off of the main line that has to do with our Angari Rangers. We have a 4 or 5 here, next to it in the middle, again, not necessarily along the coast. I'm going to go another 6-7 similar to this one, and we're going to make that the capital city for the Angari, known simply as Angalore. Now down here, I'm going to kind of have it a quest line spiral around the, not spiral, it's just going to curve around the peninsula, the main peninsula on the end of the continent. But I want to kind of go through 2, 3, 4 regions. So we'll label these 8, 9, 10, and then we'll make this an 11 for now. These might end up being 8, 8, 9, 9, or 8, 8, 9, 10, or 8, 9, 9, 10. Not 100% sure yet. But I want it to feel like there's a quest that comes through here and then is going to kind of exit toward this direction. This is still, I think, going to be a 5-6 because I want you to have the option to go, oh, you can come up here into Eastwash, you can go to Zephyr. Zephyr will eventually make a quest line that transitions players down here into this region potentially, as well as Eastwash having a potential to go over here too. It might be kind of a crossover. So this, oh, not an 11, that's not what I wanted. This might be like a little bit 4 through 6, so there's some variety there. But players can essentially choose, like, do I want to go up this way toward Karak in the capital city? Do I want to go this direction and have a little fun little side quest over here that can still transfer into Angalore and then transfer down into the quest lines that'll cut through here? Or do I go from Eastwatch straight over into the port area over here, which this will be the port of Angalore, and then have that transfer into Angalore itself, again transferring down to the quest line that loops around the bottom. This one down here and this one here, I want these to be kind of higher level regions that maybe either are not necessarily late game related, but I don't want them to be like little easy areas. I want them to be kind of destinations. This one right here is obviously right next to our capital, so I think it's only right that our capital has kind of 2 primary ports in a way. And the reason for that being is obviously there's a land bridge here. So any trade that the capital city has to do down in this area has to come from this bay. And then any trade to the north has to either come out of this bay or over here. So it will either be a port that's here and here. I thought about utilizing this because then I could make a port on each side. That may still be the case. Right now I don't really want to because I want more conflict going on in this, this little land bridge area. So for the time being, I'm going to make this a 12 and this, I think, a 13. And then if you make it to Valkyrie through this direction up through the mountain pass and then into it, you'll have options to kind of do some quests in the city that are kind of broad spectrum quests. But then there's also some options to come down here when you get to a higher level that are close by. What I do want to have is kind of a major conflict zone. So we're going to make this 1920. The reason I want to be so high right here is I'm anticipating with the development of the game itself, with MMORPG Tycoon 2, when the factions come out, I want other factions to start on this continent. So there's a very easy dividing line that you can see across the oceans and the land bridge area, where one faction is on the right dealing with the Empire, the Angalor, some other groups that we'll throw in there as well. And they're kind of all more or less sort of unified against a common enemy over in this region. And then there's a greater overarching enemy for both regions, kind of. But I want this to be a primary late game kind of conflict zone. Now up here to the north, I want to kind of throw in some feed-offs of this zone here. So for now, what I'd like to do is make an 8-9 here. I'll leave these be because I might do something similar to like this, where I just have some random higher ones close by. So we'll go 8-9, and then I think I want to go, you know, closer to a 9, or sorry, 10-11, kind of through here. This might be sort of the same, so I'm going to kind of make this just a 10 through 12, because I'm not sure how a lot of the transfer is going to go between these. And then these two regions are going to kind of be somewhere up between the 13 to 15 level. What I'd like to do when we get up to this space up here is have the option for like travel to this island where there's going to be additional side quests. Something is going to tie into our main quest line. And then for this faction, once we build out that section, this will tie in to have its kind of extra side quest dealing with this island up here. So there's going to be similar quest lines in terms of structure on each faction, but they're going to have different context, different actual story to it. So I want to, let's purchase these as well. So we'll grab those 4. And then as far as leveling goes, I'm just going to literally go like 16, 17, 18, and then like a 19. So this will kind of feel like late game DLC style build. Now down here, I think it's also a good idea to have more late game options. So we're going to kind of keep this high level here. This one right here actually is not going to be this high. This is going to be a secondary option to cutting through Karak. So I decided that because of some of the stories we've built out, Karak is like the faster way to get through this area to get to the capital city, or you can take the long route around that's going to essentially cause you to go through here, here, and here. So with that in mind, we're going to make it so that from 4, we go into another level 5 zone here. This 5 will then transfer, let's see, no, I take that back. We're going to go 5, 6, and then this right here, we'll make this 6. This will be 7, 8, 9, because I don't really know, but it should be 7. So maybe we go 7, 8. So both of these regions can flow to there. And then this one up here should be another like 9 type region, so that if you haven't hit 9 by the time you're ready to go over here, maybe you didn't go down to this zone on the south end, we need to make sure that there's some options to come up through and level up the same way on the north side of the continent as you would on the south side, depending on which actual storyline thread you take. So I think if we go 9, and then I really don't know what I want to do with this one, but I'm going to go like 15 to 20, just because we might have more tying in with multiple sites coming in and utilizing different regions, crossing over into other regions for their quest lines. So that's kind of a basic structure of how I want this to kind of feed and flow through. We're going to have to jam pack some of these full of a lot of quest lines just to make sure we get the levels going appropriately. Obviously, these will probably be more like a... Let's actually change this. So instead of 13 to 15, we'll go 13, 14 here. We'll make this a solid 15 just so we have a better idea. And then as far as these ones, I think a 6, 7... I keep kind of changing this, but this is why it's good to kind of keep looking at it and rethinking how you want to go about it. I haven't even gotten to this spot here. So 6, 7, 7, 8. This can be maybe an 8, 9. I like it when there's multiple levels, so you're not just stuck in a region for the whole time you're trying to level for one level. Obviously, that's what these are kind of down here. But what I could do, realistically, is I could go 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, so we still have the same ending level goal. But that way we can create a little more transfer between the two. Again, all could potentially get modified later. Like, I don't even know if a 4, 6 makes sense here. If it comes out of Zephyr, then it makes more sense to make this literally a 5-6. Like that. But then again, out of Eastwash, it would be nice if you could go the 3 different directions. Yeah, we're gonna keep that a 4, 5, and then you can always go 6, 7 down here. This one and this one will kind of feed this direction. Maybe this one actually goes just straight north, and that's the only way to transition between these two. Because then you could go 6, 7, and then I don't want there to be a way to go across into these regions from this one, because then it kind of defeats the purpose of having to do these hard mountain passes and stuff from a story perspective. Yeah, so then there's 2 6 7s here. This one, you can then, you know, maybe I'll have a flight path that goes from here back across Zephyr and then lands into this one, or rather takes you kind of around and into here. Like, there could be more airship connections, obviously, that we've set ourselves up for. So you could go from here, airship into Zephyr, land here in Jladir, the city, and then take another airship into another region that goes from 7 to 8, whatnot. That makes sense to me. Okay. I am sort of realizing that the only place to go 16, 17, 18 really well is up in this region, and then the only 20s are down here. We could always have players travel from this continent to this continent and have kind of regions where both factions actually kind of cross paths. That would potentially work, actually. So let's keep that in mind. Okay, so now we got a lot of zones here that look pretty crazy. So what I quickly want to do is make sure they at least resemble what the final product is going to be. So this George, we're gonna let you live somewhere else. You're gonna just I don't know. Let's see. You can have your own continent up here. There you go. You can live up there. Is it gonna be angry? Oh yeah, because he's not from this region. Oh, that killed him. Apparently I killed George by transporting him. Does he respawn back here again? No, I don't know where he went. Oh well. Sorry, George. Alright, real quick, we're going to take this region right here. We're going to change the name to what we already know is going to be. This is going to be Angalore. And then we're going to immediately change the terrain type. It's going to have a lot of forest to start with. I would like maybe some swamp, because we are near Eastwash. We'll grab some chasm just in case. And then I'm going to grab Mushroom Grove as well. We'll apply that, so it's going to be a lot of forest on top, because I think that's what most of it was visually. So this is not what it'll look like color-wise, but it will be a forest for the most part. I kind of like how this one is already laid out. It's going to be some open grass meadowy areas, but it's also going to have forests like it does there. I would like one of these southern ones, maybe this one. I like the big peninsula. They're both good peninsulas, but this one will just some terrain to make sure we've got, let's see, I want desert because I want to be able to make it look like a beach is along the whole coast. We'll add some forest into it as well. We'll grab chasm because it's going to be useful to kind of shape the edge of the map if we need to. And then we'll grab some mountain too in that. So that kind of sort of got changed. Let's give it a little bit of character before we leave it entirely. Alright, so we'll have to change the color at some point, but let's chasm the edges so we give some rounded sandy beaches. And I think it would be cool to have like this to be like an atoll. So it's like there's a set of islands that kind of are slightly disconnected. Kind of like that, but then we can actually maybe take these back out a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That way it creates like a little bit of a path if we wanted to have ships go through. And then there's, you know, kind of like a tropical feel to that. And we'll put like palm trees and stuff out here because that's important. But then way back here, we'll add in, maybe we get some mountains. This could all be changed later on, obviously, but we'll add in, oh no, I wanted the forest, thank you. We'll kind of add in some forest to kind of tie in with the regions that are above this one. And then down here I kind of had an idea. We'll go desert again, so that way we get sandy beach. We'll keep some chasm, which we've already got. Not mushroom grove. We will go mountain, and then we'll grab fields with it as well. Okay. I don't want the mountains like that. We're gonna fieldify it. And then I want to create like mountain down here. I'll just make the edge of the peninsula mountain. But then also some beach. I want there to be kind of a chasm section. Make the central part of this kind of field through there. Apply some field around the edges here so there's a pathway, sort of. I'm kind of getting really detailed in an area that I don't really have opinions on yet, but I'm feeling creative, dang it. And then we'll do the same thing kind of going this way. Create kind of like a little mountain viewpoint on the edge of the peninsula here. And then we'll add chasm back in. So we get kind of this, yeah, like that. So there's like somewhat of a path to come out here. Like so. Chasm this around a little bit like that. Well, I'm getting incredibly sidetracked. It's all your fault. That's right, I'm blaming you watching me. What I would like to do is actually change the scenery and style of landscape in this specific one right here. I want this to be field primarily. I want mountain just because it's near the mountains. We'll add some pine forest. And then I think that's a regular forest too. Why not? Bada bing, a bada boom. Go like that. We'll make it primarily field. And then what I kind of want to do is just make sure there's a lining of mountain across the edge here. Whoa, hey, what happened? That way there's some snowy caps along part of this. So that way when you're kind of next to the passive Karak on this side of this territory, you end up looking up and seeing at least mountainy tops. Get rid of this real quick. And we'll leave that as field for now. And then let's go over to this one, and we're going to actually rename you from Eastmoon to the one and only Valkyrin. I'm going to make this primarily field 2, some regular forest. Let's throw a chasm in there just for kicks and giggles. I don't really know what else, let's just make more field. Okay, so we've kind of started to get a little bit of some layout and better understanding of some things here. Obviously a lot of these will get changed. They're not going to stay looking like the multicolored palette that they currently are, but time will tell what they actually become. What I would really like to focus on is this right in here. This wonderful portion that we're considering kind of the midpoint of Karak, the Pass Karak, and kind of the overall peak of it too. So if you're kind of walking on the path down here, you're not really going to notice anything else in theory. So we're going to have to do something to kind of cover up some of those trees out there. Now, more than anything, this is also the Frozen Vale, as we've been calling it. So I kind of want to make this start to look like what it needs to look like. Okay, so I'm starting out with a little bit of some wall units, some high fencing here. So I want there to create some obstacles so you don't quite see everything, and then boom, there's like a grand reveal point here. There's going to kind of be a reveal point when you first come around this corner to see some stuff to the right here. And I think what I want to try and do is create a segment here that's kind of like a waterfall into this area. And then over here we'll obviously create a bridge too. I want to do something unique with the bridge. Alright, well, that maybe might have been one of those get carried away scenarios, but I would say I'm quite pleased with the outcome of most of this. Hopefully it was worth the wait for all of you, too. I do want to make a small correction here, though. I'm going to raise this just so that doorway kind of gets visible to kind of go into the portal there, which is technically our method of getting across the bridge. And then I should probably add some more stone underneath that. Put one there too, so it kind of creates more of a wall there, so you kind of feel like you have to go through that doorway. And I should probably cover up the top of the portal, so I don't know how to make this feel like maybe there was a tower here. We can use the corner piece. It has the window. Scale it up the same, although I don't like how the rocks are going to be floating there. Yeah, maybe I'll have to kind of add something here just so there's some supports. We'll kind of throw this in, yeah, like that. There we go. And then we can kind of go, not like, well, maybe we can kind of go like that, and then we'll slide it. Then also maybe drop this. I don't want it to really block the road like that, though. Oh, wait, maybe if I use the doorway again. Yeah, that's how we can do this. Double down on the doorways. Yeah, that'll work. That way it kind of looks like there was more going on here at the central point in the middle of this pathway. Cool. And then I thought it would be cool to kind of throw in some of these pillars as if there used to be something built upon each one of these kind of pylons, but I don't want it on all of them, because I want it to feel like there's just something missing now. So just maybe a couple of these. There we go. Excellent. Okay, and then something else I want to do is in design, I felt like I had the need of scaling up George, or our Everstone golems. So in the model editor, what I wanted to do is just make these overall bigger, but I gotta make sure I keep the overall aesthetic the same. So keeping the head kind of in the same location that it's in now. So we'll go torso, and then I'm gonna scale things, raise it up, and then we'll just try and scale all things together here. Maybe take it a little forward. Yeah. That's pretty good. Let's do the legs next. And then the arms. I raise that a little bit. I feel like I should go up a little bit. Where's up? Make this arm a little bigger. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, let's apply it. And then these should be scaled up now. Oh, they gotta reappear and reload in. Come on, George. Where is George? George. Oh, there's George. Yeah, there we go. He's a little beefier and bigger now, and he's guarding the pass all the way into the frozen Vale now, officially holding his guard. And then what I'll do is I'll put another one over here. So this should kind of feel like a safe and sacred area. Yeah, another pretty big and beefy. And then I think it'd be good to have a couple of them hanging out next to our throne watchers that are up here too. Yeah. Okay, and then we're gonna go to our little throne watcher friend here, Watcher Yold. We're gonna put in some quests related to the throne watchers and some of their history, heritage, and lore. We're not gonna bash the wolves. What I want him to do is he's gonna tell you to come up here, go to Arandur, and he's gonna say, go to the Mother's Blade. So the Throne Watchers refer to Arandur as the Mother's Blade. The Mother of Triumph is their goddess, and she wielded the Great Arandur in an ancient era, or so they believe. The Mother of Triumph is Para. Para, the goddess of triumph, victory, and also the sister of Yorgras, the god who oversees our paladins in our lore here. I am going to edit this so that it's not that much experience. I'm going to say 1,000 just because at this point, again, we want our players to be leveling up relatively quickly and having fun playing our game. But at the same time, I want to make sure that we're not just giving stuff away. No gold for this one. And you literally just have to walk up here and, you know, meditate on this. All right, the next quest, I think what I want to do is I'm going to create another guard kind of up here on the edge next to this Everstone Golem. We're going to make this another Throne Watcher, and we're going to put them, this guy right about here, and then we'll go back over to Watcher Yold, grab this quest line so we can attach the destination first, and we're going to have him go over to this guy. I think what would be better is if there was like kind of like a, I can't really make an assault, I guess, but I want to put some enemies, and maybe we'll just utilize the bandits, kind of put like a little bit of a bandit camp. Like there's more individuals seeking to kind of steal some of the Everstones, but I want there to be a path still through here. Yeah, so we'll go like that, and then let's actually have the quest go over here. So it's like you're going to pass by this guy and talk to him, and maybe he can kind of help you out. So we'll put it close to it like this, so if any of these guys do venture out, he will actually help kind of defend the player a little bit. Gonna put these closer to him, and he can beat up on some of those guys. There we go. Excellent. We'll say Watcher Porous will be his name. Need to grab my quest giver again, because I can change this. We're just gonna call this Defense of the Vale. 8 bandits. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, give them a good, nice chunk of experience through all that. And then I want another one that's gonna be kind of a understanding, kind of a lore drop. So I'm gonna put maybe another guy out here. This will be Watcher Cameron. Grab my quest giver again. We'll go talk to Watcher Cameron after the defense. We're going to call this Glory of the Vale. The Glory of the Vale is not just in its beauty, but overall, the Vale itself is a symbol of the Sentinels and their forgiveness to humans, their pity for them, their wanting to give them greater acceptance in this world and give them gifts so that they may triumph on their own and not have to always rely on deities of higher power. So Para, who is the goddess or the sentinel of triumph and victory whom the Throne Watchers worship, she kind of stood in front of the old gods and said, you can't just enslave mankind, humans, and other races throughout the world for your greater good and your own glory. And legend has it that she struck the ground with the sword Arandur, erupting the Everstone from the ground, and that's what brought magic into the world. That's what gave mankind the ability to kind of forge its own path forward. So many see her as kind of the savior to mankind, you might say. All right, and then the fourth quest that we will do, I'm going to have him just keep you right on top of himself. He's going to do another little conversation lore drop. We're going to call this the Heart of Para. Watcher Yold's going to explain to you that, you know, more so than just the gift of magic and the way the Everstones create this flow of magic through the world, there has to be a kind of a mutual respect for it. So we can't just steal the gems and try to hoard that power for ourselves, because eventually too much of it would actually corrupt the soul, corrupt those individuals who try to hold on to it for themselves. While their power might grow, it would be to the detriment of their own livelihood. They would go insane, and potentially even worse, just a perpetual life where in theory you could live forever, but one where you were completely soul-bound and tortured internally for that entire time frame. And so even though the Throne Watchers stand amongst the Everstones, and they wield some of its power to begin with, they themselves only take a small fraction after their pilgrimage, and they wear that small fraction as a little necklace around them like a gem, and then part of one is also embedded into their great swords, their blades, to help yield some of the magic that they utilize in battle. But if they ever lose their Everstone, or it starts to fade its own magic, it's just the sign that it's time for them to move on and essentially retire from that chain of command. And then I'm going to leave the last quest open because I would like it to eventually, like a lot of the other stuff we're building out, to point the player toward the main capital city. So there's going to be kind of a grand temple in which the Throne Watchers kind of utilize to keep their central camp where their leadership lies, and then they also have an obligation to, as it's clearly kind of stated, to defend the throne of the empire itself. Alright, and now we actually have an upgrade we need to use. Before I forget to do that, I would like to kind of go back into our heritage of putting some stuff back into hugs so we increase socializing once again. Always a good spot to put it all. And then before I forget, there's actually a couple of things I wanted to show you guys that I had done in between recordings, one of which was a ton of scenery into the entrance of Karak. So like I've done so many times before, I wanted to make sure that there was plenty of pretty plants. Felt like there was some natural-esque kind of look to the flowers and the shrubbery that existed along the pathway. So if we follow this down, we'll see just some lovely, lovely little things. I put some extra wolves in here too, just because I wanted there to be some natural enemies kind of scattered and dotted around. But yeah, you can see lots and lots of shrubs. The goal here was to actually put stuff in so that the shrub portions were in the shade and the flowers kind of only grew where there was sunlight. So I thought that was a nice little neat touch, and it's just kind of all throughout the little village here, scattered about. Give it a nice little like loving quality of like cheeriness before you have to head up the scary mountain pass. And then just as I kind of teased in a community post, I added a whole bunch more to kind of the corrupted wood portion of Brightwood. I felt like it was needed to kind of spice this up a little bit. So in the spider zone here, the area where the eggs are kind of laid here in this little hut, and the twisted vines coming up and around it are kind of all corrupting the trees that were once part of the forest of Brightwood. And then if we follow it up toward the mountain here, where it's kind of at the origin point, I kind of created a little bit more up the side here so that some of these trees were disturbed, and I think it would be kind of cool to have this kind of lead into an origin point that's somewhere either on the backside here or potentially in this region over here. Not sure yet, but I want it to kind of feel like it's attached to multiple zones in the long run. But I would say that this is a good place to go ahead and call it for the day. We've done quite a bit of good work here in the Pass of Karak, specifically in the Frozen Vale, and I'm pretty pleased with it. Came out pretty much exactly how I would have hoped, so I hope you'll stick around and see what else we can add for the rest of the pass. And until then, though, I am Kyle. This has been that one playthrough of MMORPG Tycoon 2, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Have a wonderful day.